All right there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday. Every Wednesday we do new album, new product reviews. Today we've got, for this particular episode, the debut from the band that a lot of people are talking about. Self-titled release from Envyofnone. Of course, this is the new band, new project that Alex Lifeson is taking part in. Of course, Alex Lifeson from Rush, guitar player from Rush. Now that Rush is no more, both Alex and Geddy are probably looking for new things to occupy themselves with. This appears to be the first thing that Alex has jumped on board. Let's take a look at the album. Kind of a really weird, odd album CD cover. This album is on K-Scope Records. More about that in a bit. There you have the CD, right? And inside, I'll read this to you here. If Caesar had wished how to send me to the Stygian waves, in that he had not needed your aid. He has power over my life, amenable to the envy of none. And that which he has given, when he shall please, he shall take away. Ovid. Already then. So here you get, it's not quite a booklet, it's more like a kind of like a little poster, which once again has the odd stuff from the cover and lyrics on the other side. And I'm sure you all want to know who is in this band called Envyofnone, right? So we've got on guitars, keyboards, and programming, Alfio Annibalini, right? On bass guitar, synthesized bass, programming, guitar, background vocals, and stylophone, we've got Andy Curran. Okay, Andy Curran, of course, from Canadian band, and I'm drawing a blank on their name. You guys will remind me down below. I'm sure I'll remember it in a minute. Old Canadian band, hard rock band from the 80s. Man, I'm drawing a complete blank. Anyway, Alex Lifeson on guitar, mandola, banjo, and programming, and Maiah Wynne on lead vocals, background vocals, and keyboards. And along with, you've got David Quentin Steinberg on guest drums on a couple tracks, Tim Oxford drums on a couple tracks, Joe Vitale drums on one song, Bethany Joyce cellos on one track, and Jonathan Dinklage strings on one track. So, you know, again, the regular band does not list a drummer, so they've got a handful of drummers who are helping out. On Coney Hatch is the band that Andy Curran was from. So of course him and Alex probably know each other, right? So so it's on K-Scope Records. Not surprising. Now that I've listened to this 5-6 times, and it kind of makes sense. Think kind of like Pineapple Thief type music, sort of. I don't know. This is like. They pre-released a couple tracks before the album came out to kind of whet your appetite for this. And I'll be honest, I didn't like either one of them. And I was like, I don't really have any interest in hearing the rest of this. I love Alex to death, but those first two songs kind of scared me away. But, a lot of people have been asking, Pete, when are you going to review Envyofnone? When are you going to review? I was like, all right, you know what? I'll pick it up. I'll give it a fair shake, and I'll talk about it, right? So we've got 11 tracks on here. First song, Never Said I Love You, really good. By far, not even close, my favorite song on the album. In fact, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it's rocking. Her vocals are outstanding. She's a really good singer. And it's just a great modern kind of bubbly, poppy rock song with just a killer hook. Chorus is great. Just enough guitar, lots of synths. The bass is great on this album. There's big bass grooves all over the place on this album. Tons of synths and keyboards and programming all over this record. All right, so right off the bat, all right, this is great. This is great. Unfortunately, it doesn't get any better from there. All right, then you got a tune called Shadow. Really mellow, kind of synth pop. Again, her vocals are great throughout the whole album. I don't have an issue with Maiah's vocals. I think she's a really good singer. She's perfect for this type of music. Then you got Look Inside. Kind of boring, kind of bubbles along. All right, Liar is up next. Kind of more of the same, right? Some nice little melodies and things like that. But already on like track, 3-4 tracks in, and I'm kind of like, other than the opening track, I'm like, where's the freaking guitar? You got two guitar players on here, and one of them is Alex Lifeson. And all I'm hearing is like little textures and little chimey chords and things like that. I'm like, all right, Liar, Spy House. Spy House isn't too bad, right? It's this album is very synth poppy, very kind of ambient in spots, kind of trippy, trip hoppy, that type of thing, right? Dog's Life I like. Dog's Life has some energy. I kind of dig that. Cool chorus. Little more riffy, slightly, right? Kabul Blues, that's not too bad, right? That also kind of alluring, kind of, sort of proggy a little bit, but not. Again, think Pineapple Thieves, think Anathema, that sort of thing, right? Old Strings, I find that very skippable. There's really nothing much going on there. Dumb, not really moving me. Enemy's pretty good. Enemy, again, picks up the pace a little bit. You got both guitar players putting some nice textures, some little riffage going on there. And then you got the pretty bland, kind of more acoustic-based Western Sunset, which kind of finishes things off. So, yeah, I mean, basically, great opening track. A couple of other tunes that I kind of dig. The rest of it, I just doesn't do anything for me. And if you were to come to me, let's say out of the blue, and I had no idea that Alex Lifeson had signed on to record anything, right? And you came to me and said, Pete, check out this pretty cool band called Envyofnone, and listen to it. What do you think? I would listen to it and I'd be like, all right, doesn't really do a lot for me. There's tons of synths, some cool bass, great vocals, some hooks here and there, but there's like no guitar in this album. It's missing guitar. Now that I know that Alex Lifeson is a part of this, right, I'm even more disappointed because he's got nothing to do here. And maybe that's kind of what he wanted to do, and maybe that was the intent of this band, to not be, obviously they don't want to be Rush. I get that. But, man, you got two guitar players on here, you got a killer bass player, a great singer, and it just seems like most of this album just kind of drifts and meanders along. And that being said, there's a lot on here that I'm sure will appeal to a lot of people, that will appeal to people who don't like Rush, who never listen to Rush. This is a modern pop, rock, trip wave, tripwire, trip hop, whatever you want to call this. I don't even know. Synth pop, I don't even know what to call this. I know it's not my cup of tea, but I hear lots of potential with this album that if it's promoted to the right demographic, this could catch on quite easily. Man, I'll say it right now. Release Never Said I Love as a single if you haven't done it already, and radio stations play that shit to the moon, because that is a great song. I'm just not feeling the rest of the album. I'm really not. And I want to hear Alex Lifeson, and he's invisible on here. There's nothing on here that makes me say, oh yeah, that's Alex right there. Not at all. So, but she's a great singer. I love the bass work on the album. There's some nice synths and stuff, but quite frankly, most of this album just bores me to tears. So if I have to rate this out of 5 stars, I'll give it a 3. Well, my personal preference, I would give it a 2, but I'm going to give it a 3 because it's well done, and I think that there's a lot going for it. It's just not for me. But if you're a little bit more kind of... what's the word I'm looking for? If you don't mind kind of like synth pop stuff and very modern style of music that's got this kind of little trip hop thing going and this like kind of like ambient electronic thing happening, and like I said, there's not a lot of guitar in here. So if that's what you're looking for, you've come to the wrong place. But so, give it a try. I would suggest anybody to give this a try. I'm happy I did. But my overall opinion really hasn't changed from those first 2 tracks I heard. And quite frankly, I don't even remember what the first 2 songs I heard were. I'm pretty sure Shadow was one of them. I'm not sure what the other one was. And if Never Said I Love You was one of the first 2 tracks I heard, it's really grown on me. The rest of it, I've tried. because I kept, once I really got into that song, I was like, well, maybe the rest of it will kind of grow. I mean, I've talked to many people over the last week who said, yeah, that album's really grown on me. I just keep listening to it and liking it more. I find that the more I listen to it, I'm liking it less, but I gravitate towards those couple tracks that I did like from the outset. So, but the rest of it just doesn't do anything for me. So, I don't know. I would say give it a shot. Envy of None, self-titled, featuring, well, I don't know about featuring, but as part of the ensemble, you've got Alex Lifeson on here. But do not expect a guitar-heavy album. In fact, there's probably less guitar on this album than there are on some of those 80s Rush albums that we've all complained about for decades that there wasn't enough guitar on, right? So, sad but true. So, thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. Check us out on Facebook. More importantly, visit us here where we are all... God, getting rid of the Twitter thing really screwed me up here. Join us on Facebook. And more importantly, join us here on YouTube, where we are together all the damn time. I have to write a new tagline for this because I want to make it catchy. It was so catchy for 7 years. Now it's like I've taken the Twitter out of the occasion. Sorry, AZ, but it is what it is. I have to figure out a new tagline. So anyway, Envy of None. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We got a new Ann Wilson album coming up later today. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Click on that notification bell. We also have the links below to our Ko-Fi page and our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff. And I am Pete Pardo. See you real soon here on the channel. Take care. Bye-bye.